This is for you. Anyone else here from Chicago? Hey, there you go. All right. Now this could only happen to a guy like me, and only happen in a town like this. So I say to each of you most gratefully, as I throw each one of you a kiss. This is my kind of town. Chicago is my kind of town. Chicago is my kind of people too. People who they smile at you, and each time I roam, Chicago is calling me home. Chicago is one town that won't let you down. It's my kind of town. Take it, Rich. This is my kind of town. Chicago, my kind of town. Chicago is the Union Stockyard. Chicago is the Chicago Cubbies. Chicago is one town that won't let you down. It's my kind of town. Chicago, 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 my kind of town. Chicago. Thank you. Thank you. You know, getting ready for today, I was going through some things in my mind, different things that have kind of occurred in my life with Frank Sinatra. You know, about 20 years ago, I don't know if anybody here knows this. This is a little-known story. About 20 years ago, on a Shabbat morning, I was doing the services by myself in the sanctuary, and the rabbi took off that week. He asked me to do services. So, you know, we don't get that many people on Shabbat morning, but we had a nice service. And there was an older gentleman there who came up to me after services, and he was a very nice-looking man, very well-dressed, and he was a tall man, an older man, and he came up to me and he said, you know, he said, I really like the way you daven. He says, you're really a great cantor. I said, well, thank you. And he said, you know, and I bet you like Frank Sinatra. And I said, well, you're right. Then he says to me, I was Frank Sinatra's rabbi. Yeah. I said to him, I didn't know Frank Sinatra had a rabbi. I said, how was that? How did Frank Sinatra have a rabbi? And he told me he was a rabbi, and he was from Palm Springs, California. Okay? And when Frank Sinatra's mother was in the hospital there, Dolly Sinatra, he was one of the chaplains at the hospital. And he became very, very friendly with her. And she would come to see him every week, once or twice a week. And she would come, and she would come to him for advice, and they became great friends. And when Dolly Sinatra died, he gave a eulogy at her funeral. And he told me Frank Sinatra was so grateful that he came up to him and he said, you know, Rabbi, he said, anything you ever need, just ask me. I'll be glad to help. So, when the temple needed money to expand, we went to Frank Sinatra. I wish we could do the same thing. Right? So, they had a $4 million expansion at this temple in Palm Springs, and Frank Sinatra raised $4 million. He raised all the money. He had 2 shows, and he headlined the shows, and he donated his services, and this was Frank Sinatra's rabbi. And I looked up his name. I looked him up this morning, because I remember he was an older man who moved down to Howland. He was a really nice guy. And I asked Rabbi Tufts, I said, you ever hear of this guy, Frank Sinatra's rabbi? And I told him his name. He said, oh, yeah, sure, I know. His name was Rabbi Hurwitz, Rabbi Joe Hurwitz. And he lived in Hallandale for the last few years of his life, but he was Frank Sinatra's rabbi. So I met Frank Sinatra's rabbi. What can I tell you? How about that, huh? All right, what are we going to do, Rich? Ah, yeah, let's do that. We're going to do a beautiful song that Frank Sinatra sometimes sang. This is from the Broadway show, The King and I. I have dreamed that your arms are lovely. I have dreamed what a joy you'll be. I have dreamed every word you whisper when you're close to me. I love to sing this type of music, as you can tell. But singing in the synagogue is a whole different thing. And I love that too. And you know, I remember one day, I studied with one of the greatest cantors in the world. I've said it many times, Cantor Moshe Sholhov. I studied with him for 20 years. And he was considered one of the top 3 or 4 cantors in the world. He was doing concerts every 3 weeks in Israel, sold out concerts. And one day I was studying with him, and there was a knock on the door. And I studied with him in his home. There was a knock on the door, and there was this other world-famous cantor who just showed up. He was in the neighborhood, he showed up, Cantor Yaakov Motzen. And he showed up, and I was in the middle of a lesson with Moshe, and Moshe introduced me to him, and Cantor Motzen said, "I want to hear you, go ahead, sing something for me." And I went, I said, I didn't really want to sing for him. You know, this was a world-famous cantor, and I'm thinking, I don't know about this. And I tried to get out of it. He said, "No, come on, I want to hear you sing, I want to hear you sing." So I sang something for him. And he said, "Oh, that's pretty nice." He liked it. And afterwards, it got me thinking, you know, if I was singing somewhere, say I was singing with Richie or something, and Frank Sinatra walked in, I wouldn't care. I'd say, "Okay, I'll sing something. You know, have a drink, sing, who cares?" But when I was singing prayers and singing music from the synagogue, it got me there. and I couldn't sing. I just couldn't sing for this guy. It was in my heart. I said, I don't know if I'm up to this. I don't know if I can sing for this man, but I did. So I sang for Cantor Munson. And I think that's the difference between singing Frank Sinatra and singing the prayers. To me, that's the difference anyway. But I'm lucky I get to sing. And Cantor Schulhoff used to tell me, thank God you were born Jewish. He always told me this. He used to tell me, thank God you were born Jewish. He said, an Italian guy wants to sing, and he can't make it to the opera, what does he do? Becomes a waiter. He said, if a Jewish guy wants to sing, he can't make it to the opera, what does he do? Becomes a cantor. He used to tell me that all the time. But I never wanted to be, I could sing operatic style if I wanted, believe me, I could. But Frank Sinatra's my type. I love Frank Sinatra. And I have to tell you, the reason, believe it or not, when I grew up in Philadelphia, there was a radio show every Sunday and every Friday. They had a disc jockey named Sid Mark, who used to play Sinatra for 3 hours every Friday night and every Sunday morning. And I know my friend Jimmy Stern is going to be here today, but oh, there he is! Jimmy's there. Jimmy went to medical school in Philadelphia, and he used to listen to Sid Mark. And we were a Sid Mark fan, so that's how I got to love Frank Sinatra, listening every day. All right, we're going to do a song from Cabaret, Rich. Maybe this time, yeah. This is a song, near the end of his career, Frank Sinatra would sing this. You can find it on one of his live recordings. This was from a concert in Dallas that he did. Maybe this time. Maybe this time I'll be lucky. Maybe this time she'll stay. Maybe this time, for the first time, love won't hurry away. She will hold me fast. I'll be home at last. Not a loser anymore. Like this time or the time before. Everybody loves a winner, so nobody loves me. Mr. Happy, Mr. Peaceful, that's what I want to be. Now all of the odds are, they're in my favor. Something's bound to begin. It's gotta happen sometime. Maybe this time I'll win. Everybody loves a lover, so nobody loves me. Only peaceful, only happy, that's what I long to be. Now all of the odds are, they're in my favor. Something's bound to begin. It's gotta happen sometime. Maybe this time I'll win. Thank you. That was written by Cantor and Ebb. If you people who watched you know, Sinatra always gave credit to the composers, the great composers who wrote these songs. Fred Cantor and John Ebb, two Jewish guys, and they wrote more songs for Broadway than anybody, believe it or not, more than Rodgers and Hammerstein, Rodgers and Hart. And they also wrote this one, which Frank Sinatra stole from Liza Minnelli. Yeah, he stole that one too. Okay. wake up in that city that doesn't sleep, to find that I'm king of the hill, head of the list, cream of the crop, a number one. These little town blues are melting away. Gonna make a brand new start of it back in old New York. If I can make it there, I'm gonna make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York. All right, Rich, how about a boogie woogie medley? Yeah. Come on, you said you can do it.
What about chopsticks?
Whatever you want.
Chopsticks. That's
Chopsticks. How about that? Richie's playing chopsticks. Richie Shapiro. Okay. Now how I met Richie? This was weird. You never know. We met at a condo called Jade Wynn's. You ever hear of Jade Wynn's? You know Jade Wynn's. Down on 18th Street? This is about, how many years ago, Rich? 30 years ago? 28 years ago? I don't know, something like that. I was doing a show there, an agent booked me in there, and he booked Richie in there too. Jerry Rainbow. Yeah, Jerry Rainbow. And at the end of the show, they asked me to do a few more songs, and the whole condo was basically Holocaust survivors in this condo. They were very sweet, older people who'd been through incredible things in their life, and they wanted me to sing another Hebrew song, another Yiddish song, and I didn't have any more background tracks. So I asked Richie, I said, hey, can you play a song for me? And he played a song or two for me, and I said, wow, this guy can play. And we became friends in like 5 minutes, and when I became the cantor here in 2000, the first thing I did, I told Dodie, who was the president at the time, and I told Rabbi Tufts, I said, I want to bring in my own accompanist. And they said, okay, so I brought in Richie. And he's been here ever since, right? And we have fun every week. We enjoy with each other. You know what? I didn't spare any expense for today's show. This is an authentic Frank Sinatra hat. I'll trade my kippah. There it is, my Frank Sinatra hat. Or as my father used to call him, Frank Schmata. You know, my father didn't like him. My father would hear me singing his songs, he said, you're singing those Frank Schmata songs again. Anyway, I thought of something else, all my connections to Sinatra. When I was in high school, I delivered newspapers. I delivered newspapers all through high school, college, hundreds of papers every day. And if the people didn't pay me at the end of the month, I put a bill in the papers. You know, they didn't pay me for 2 or 3 months. I had to go out there and get the money. So I went out to this house one day, a very nice house in a very nice section of Philadelphia. Guy let me in, and he's talking to me, and he said, "Are you a Frank Sinatra fan?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You know Frank Sinatra got married in this house?" I said, "Really?" He married Ava Gardner in that house. Yeah, what it was the home of Frank Sinatra's agent, who was a Jewish guy named Manny Sachs, who was his agent, and that was Manny Sachs' home, off of Lincoln Drive in Philadelphia. So I was in the house, and I got to see the house where Frank Sinatra got married. How about that? He paid me. I got paid. Yeah. I got paid. This is a song I very rarely sing. I don't remember the last time I sang it. But today, why not? It's like an egotistical song, but it's a beautiful song.